Welcome to the summary of lesson 14 about fallacy or mughalita. And before we start, let's have a short supplication. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma akhrijna min zulumatil wahm wa akrimna binuril fahm. Allahumma aftah alayna abwaba rahmatik وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. In the previous lessons, we have already covered 12 topics, and just during the last session, we also included proof or burhan and dialectics or jadal. So this time, we will talk about fallacy or mughalita. As you can observe, it is lesson 28 in our textbook. So when we talk about fallacy, the key idea is that it means presenting a false or void opinion under the appearance of truth. Apparently, it is true, but in reality, it is false. So in a world full of competing ideas, we must learn fallacy in order to avoid being deceived and to avoid deceiving others. That is to know the poison in order to avoid it. Now, why fallacy matters? Because false ideas rarely appear as false. And fallacies imitate truth and can mislead many people. And studying fallacy protects sound reasoning. And it also helps us detect misleading arguments in debate, written in books, media, and daily conversation. Now, what is the substance of fallacy? The main premises used in fallacy are usually outwardly true premises and imagined premises. Take note of these two, outwardly true premises as well as imagined premises. So if fallacy can occur wherever proof or dialectics is used. So here are the internal and external elements. Internal elements refer to the very premises and propositions that make up the fallacy, whereas external elements are tactics and styles used by disputants or debaters to overpower or confuse the opponents. Now, we have two main roots of fallacy. One is fallacy in diction, meaning rooted in words and verbal expression. And the other one is semantic fallacy, rooted in the meaning and concepts. So this part of the lesson mainly explains fallacies in diction, and then it will be followed by our discussion on semantic fallacy. So here are the 6 fallacies in diction. One is equivocation. So one word has 2 or more meanings. The other one is accent. It means to say the form, the stress, or way of presenting a word creates a misleading impression. Example, a square is circular. Circular is a printed notice. Therefore, a square is a printed notice. Another type of fallacy in diction is grammatical inflection. What does it mean? It means to say changes in letters or forms create confusion. For example, example note, dislocation or variation of letters that can mislead. Number 4 example of fallacy in diction is amphiboly, wherein it means to say ambiguity comes from sentence construction. For example, there will be a talk tomorrow over coffee in the cafeteria. So here it is unclear whether the talk is about coffee or while drinking coffee. Number 6 fallacy in diction is called composition. That is wrongly combining separate attributes. For example, someone is a physician and skillful in poetry. It does not automatically mean he is a skillful physician, because skillful is related to poetry. Number 6 is the fallacy of division. What does it mean? Wrongly separating what must be understood together. For example, 5 is even and odd in the sense of being composed of even and odd parts, but not even as a separate attribute. Yeah, 5, meaning the sense of 5, yes, it is the word, it means even, and when the sense of the number 5, yes, it is odd. But here it is unclear whether 5 here refers to the word itself or to what it is referring to, which is the number 5. Now, here are quick examples of fallacious arguments. God is light, light is sensible, therefore God is sensible. Meaning it can be touched, it can be perceived by the sensory perceptions that we have. Number 2, wine is grapes juice. Grapes juice is permissible, therefore wine is permissible, meaning halal. Hitler is oppression itself. Oppression is a 3-letter word, meaning 3 syllables. Therefore, Hitler is a 3-letter word. Number 4, this word is a handkerchief. A handkerchief fits in a pocket. Therefore, this word fits in a pocket. Number 5, every sensible thing is existent. God is not sensible, meaning it cannot be touched. It cannot be perceived by the sensory perceptions. Therefore, God is not existent. So these are examples of fallacious arguments. Okay, so in summary, when we say fallacy, it means falsehood distinguished as truth. And its main substances are outwardly true and imagined premises. And its roots are either in diction or semantics. And the purpose of studying fallacy is to protect us from deceptive reasoning and to also protect others from our potential deceptive reasoning. Okay, so for our lesson activities, let us bear in mind the following questions. 1, why is the study of fallacy necessary? Number 2, what are the internal and external elements of fallacy? Number 3, what are the 2 major roots of fallacy? And number 4, name the 6 fallacies in diction. And to delve deeper on the topic, here is the practical exercise instruction for you. Read one page of a newspaper or social media post and identify examples of fallacy in diction. Okay, now let's proceed to semantic fallacy. And take note, this lesson is actually number 29 in our textbook, whereas it's only lesson 14 in our course. So the key idea here is that semantic fallacy means an error in reasoning caused by meaning, concepts, or wrong logical use, not merely by wording. So this lesson explains 7 major semantic fallacies. So here are the seven semantic fallacies. One is the fallacy of converse accident. This is very common. When we say fallacy of converse accident, we mean mistakenly reversing a limited truth into a universal claim. For example, if we say honey is yellow and liquid, therefore every yellow liquid is honey. The keynote here is that not every yellow liquid is honey. Number two is what we call fallacy of non-inherent pro-inherent. What does it mean? Treating a second or accidental attribute as if it were the essential subject. For example, human being is walking and poet. Therefore, every walking being is a poet. Here, walking is just an accidental attribute and not an essential. Number two example, this cloth is white. White is opposite of black. Therefore, this cloth is opposite of black. Take note that the attribute belongs to whiteness, not directly to the cloth as an essential property. Another type of fallacy is what we call fallacy of accident. What does it mean? Adding or removing a condition or restriction improperly. For example, Zaid is a human being. Human being is universal. Therefore, Zaid is universal. Another example is the human being in childhood days is a rational animal. And Hassan is not a child. Therefore, Hassan is not a rational animal. Here, wrong restriction results in wrong conclusion. So that is the fallacy of accident. The other fallacy is fallacy of rigged question, which means a statement or question looks like one point but actually hides more than one claim. For example, only the human being is thoughtful and every thoughtful being is animal. Therefore, only the human being is animal. The second example is a question such as, is that person poet and author or not? You cannot easily answer it by yes or no because a person may be poet but not author, or vice versa. He is not author but an author. He is not a poet but an author. So we need to break it down, break it into the two hidden questions. For example, is that person a poet or not? The second is that person an author or not? Okay. The fifth type of fallacy is what we call fallacy of false cause. It means to say breaking a rule of syllogism so the conclusion does not follow. So the example is to say Zaid is a human being and a human being is a poet. Therefore, Zaid is a poet. The problem here is the middle one, that human being is a poet, not all human beings. So the key note here is that the major premise is not properly universal. The middle sentence I am pointing, as I was pointing out. The sixth kind of fallacy, semantic fallacy, is fallacy of petitio principii. It means to say the conclusion is really the same as one of the premises, only with different wording. For example, every human being is humankind. Every humankind is laughing. Therefore, every human being is laughing. Here, no new reasoning is produced because human being and humankind are one and the same. And the last type of fallacy, semantic fallacy, is what we call fallacy of non-cause pro cause. It means to say taking something that is not the real cause and treating it as the cause. For example, since my aunt died this year, I failed the examination. Take note that the real cause may be laziness and not the aunt's death. Okay, so let us review by saying that here are the 7 fallacies, semantic fallacies. Converse accident, that is reversing too quickly. Non-inherent, pro-inherent, meaning mixing essential and accidental attributes. Fallacy of accident, the main mistake is wrong restriction or condition. Read question, there are hidden multiple claims. And in false cause, there is an invalid syllogistic link. And in petitio principii, the conclusion is already assumed. And in non-cause pro cause, the fake cause substituted was substituted for real cause. So now, what are the tactics and styles of sophists? Meaning those who are used to use fallacies to make the opponent's words seem rude or unacceptable. Second is to provoke anger by mentioning defects and weaknesses. And number 3, using difficult or unfamiliar expressions to confuse others. And number 4, adding irrelevant material to distract the opponent. And number 5, using loud voice, gestures, slapping, or dramatic body language to appear victorious. So these are tactics and styles of sophists that we must be aware of. So why this lesson matters? Simply because it helps us detect deceptive reasoning. It trains us to think carefully, and it protects us from manipulation in debate, media, and daily conversation. So for our lessons activities, here are the questions that we must always bear in mind. What are the 7 semantic fallacies? Number 2, what is the fallacy of converse accident? 3, what is the difference between false cause and non-cause pro cause? Number 4, what is petitio principii? Number 5, what are the tactics of sophists? Okay, so to delve deep into the topic of the lesson, here is the practical exercise instruction for you. Observe newspapers, online debates, or social media posts for 1 week. And then identify examples of semantic fallacy and sophistical tactics being used. So our takeaway for this lesson is for us to think clearly, detect deception, and reason carefully. So next meeting, we will finally proceed to lesson 15, our last lesson about rhetoric or khataba and poetry or share, inshallah. Thank you and see you then.